I'm Realtor Deb Tomorrow, and this is At Home in Bloomington, brought to you by Karen Russell, Ruoff Home Mortgage. We profile the people, places, and resources that make Bloomington, Bloomington, and help you live your best life. At Home in Bloomington. Hello, and welcome to At Home in Bloomington. I am your host, Realtor Deb Tomorrow, and I am joined, as usual, by the lovely Miss Karen Russell, who is the best name lender in the state of Indiana.
I try.
I
try my hardest.
I know. You're busy. Ruoff Home Mortgage, which is where we are recording the world studios of Ruoff Home Mortgage.
Yes.
So I've got a little throwback. I want to talk, if you're a listener of the show, Karen is usually in the dark about who our guest is and what they do. And it always frightens her slightly, and I find it highly entertaining, which is why we do it. But today's episode reminds me of your grandmother.
Okay.
So she gardened a lot, right?
Yes.
She spent a lot of time outside in the backyard.
Yes.
And
by hand.
And she was from Korea.
Yes.
And so what kind of things did she grow?
She grew chives. I mean, that's the one thing I can remember the most, was chives, cucumbers. I mean, everything.
Because she made probably kimchi all the time.
Cabbage, yes. They made everything.
Yeah. So what'd she do in the winter? Did she get bored because she couldn't garden? Did she get stir crazy?
No, I don't know. I bet she did.
Yeah.
I bet she did.
Because you were pretty young. So
she lived with us until I was 15 when she passed away.
Okay.
But yeah, I never even gave it a second thought, like how boring it must have been for her. But no, she with I don't know what the tool was, but we still have it. It's a small little, sickle-looking thing, and she did it by hand. And I'll have to get anyway, she did that one by hand, and then a flower bed by hand. So,
well, wouldn't it have been nice if she could have gardened indoors? Wouldn't that be a nice thing for her to stay busy over the winter?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what we're kind of talking about today. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So we are welcoming Kyle Billman, who is the owner of Goldleaf Hydroponics, which is a local establishment that focuses on indoor gardening and this weird hydroponics thing that you may have heard of but don't really understand what it is.
No, I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of it?
No.
What about aquaponics?
No.
Okay. I only know about it because Juris got into hydroponics a couple years ago, and I was terrified that the FBI was going to come and knock on my door because he kept having grow lights sent to our house.
Oh.
And I thought, they're watching us now.
Yeah.
They're wondering what the heck we're doing. So Kyle's going to clear it all up. So welcome.
Good morning.
So what is hydroponics?
Well, the most eloquent definition I've ever heard is growing stuff in water. So as opposed to soil, where we have organic matter breaking down and creating nutrients for the plants, in hydroponics we basically have a water solution with fertilizer, and we're just delivering it to the roots. So you may have seen plants growing in rafts on top of water.
Yes.
It's a way to grow sometimes more efficiently and throughout the year. You can really grow anything a lot of times faster and with a lot less water and better environmental control and pest control. So I'm truly a big houseplant nerd. I've been growing bonsai and just houseplants since I was 15, but the hydroponics is such a new industry, and I see such a disconnect between our food and where it comes from, and especially with kids and school lunches and stuff like that is a big part of what we do. So it's just a new emerging industry, and like Deb, referenced, it's really big in a lot of states right now for other, herbs that are becoming legal and such.
You mean Colorado and soon to be Michigan?
Yeah. Okay. But it truly is, and we do have that misconception every day. But if you've had lettuce or tomatoes or herbs at the grocery store, I can guarantee you've had hydroponic produce.
Really?
And that's what I always try to remind people is it's more of a concept of how to grow things non-traditionally, not in the ground, not in the soil, confined by the season and all this. But with hydroponics, you can really use grow lights and stuff to bring it indoors or into a greenhouse, or just have your way with what you want to do and your goals.
Yeah.
So we grow in our basement.
We had it in our dining room. This was, I think, maybe winter before last. And yours just had a little setup. It wasn't huge. It was probably, 3 by 4 or something. And grow lights. And he had a bunch of herbs going and some tomatoes. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do with all this, like, oregano and basil? And I was like, oh, my gosh, more pesto. Because it was just, on fire. It was just dead of winter, fresh tomatoes in my dining room.
I'm that type of person that I don't grow plants. They unfortunately die in my presence. So I don't even get a plastic plant because that, too, will somehow melt and go away. So... Is this something that anyone can do? I'm laughing, but I'm just thinking I could attempt this, but I don't know how successful I would be.
Yeah, like anything, you have to have the desire to make it happen, and you have to receive something for yourself from it, whether it's just nutrition or knowing that you're growing nutrition for your family, or just the therapeutic
hobby aspect of it.
Gardening. But...
So are there small, like, starter kit things that someone could get, like Karen, who doesn't have a ton of confidence in her own ability, that, because I shudder to I have no idea how much Yura spent on the setup that we had, but it was, probably a lot. So is there an inexpensive way to get started?
Yeah, I mean, at its cheapest, if you just want a little countertop herb garden, you're talking like, under $50.
Okay.
You need some sort of grow light. That could be as simple as just a little fluorescent tube, little LED tube, and then some plastic pots and a little bit of soil. So, pennies and dollars for the little pots, and maybe $10 bag of soil. And kind of back to, how hard it is for a beginner.
Yeah.
The biggest obstacle is not learning how to do it, but learning how to live with the plants. Like, you have to wake up kind of in the morning and, just like if you had a farm, you have to feed the chickens.
There's a discipline to it.
Yes, it is a lifestyle. And that's kind of to your previous question. That's kind of the biggest thing for a beginner is you are living with plants now. Like, they are a part of your,
They're like a pet.
Yeah.
Because we always laugh because, like, Eurus is pretty good with plants. I am not at all. His mother is amazing. Like, she just, when they say someone has a green thumb, like, she just, and I'm convinced it's because she talks to them all the time because she doesn't have anyone else to talk to at home. But I think it's just because she's disciplined about it, and Eurus is definitely more disciplined. I forget to water things. And I know with the hydroponics that because if you're growing in water, you have to put nutrients into the water to feed the plants, and so that's something you have to do on a regular basis too, right?
Mm-hmm. At its best, you can walk away for like 2 weeks, though, with hydroponics.
Oh, really?
It's, for the most part, automated. So that aspect is really nice for the beginner.
Yeah.
At some level, you can just kind of start your seed and let it go. And there's a lot of
you can grow, I know we talked about herbs, and you can grow lots of things, like everything that I'm thinking of, like in a normal vegetable garden.
Yes.
Probably not a stalk of corn.
Well, no. short answer is yes. Long answer is it may not always be efficient or practical.
Yeah.
But you wait, next summer we're going to be doing corn.
Really?
Or maybe in this winter. We do it all year round, of course, in our shop. But I have now visions of a grid of 3x3 stalks of corn in one of our grow tents under LEDs, just to do it and see it. We've grown okra, cotton. These aren't things that I would traditionally recommend.
Right.
They're not going to yield return for you.
Right.
But again, it's just the fun of always knowing there's something new to grow, and just kind of seeing how I wear cotton every day, or I eat this every day, and now I can appreciate the process.
A starter kit would be a great gift idea.
Yeah.
I think my husband needs to get me one because I don't know if you guys remember over the summer, Rachel's cucumbers were growing out of control.
Were. Yep.
And she had so many, and we love cucumbers, or I do anyway. And she kept bringing them, and I thought, I could grow this, I think.
You could grow cucumbers.
I could.
So we've grown cucumbers indoors, which were fabulous. But right now we're doing loofah gourds, which look very similar to cucumbers. But, loofah is like a shower sponge.
Yeah.
A lot of people, myself included, thought those were sea sponges.
Yeah.
They're gourds, like cucumbers. So they grow on vine. And we're growing those indoors right now.
So when you go on vacation to Key West and they're selling loofahs because it's supposed, that's a big scam.
Now they may have. I can't say that they don't have.
Yeah, they're sponges, but right.
The traditional loofah, a loofah is a gourd. So.
Oh, interesting.
Well, now I want to see that. That's really cool. Yeah. So let's talk about your store and where it is, so we don't forget to mention that. So you guys are located.
Goldleaf Hydroponics is right off the highway,
Yep.
Highway 37 and Victor Pike on the south side of Bloomington.
Yep.
As if you were kind of going towards Bedford. We have a lot of customers that do come from Terre Haute, up from Evansville, even the surrounding states for our big events and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're right off the highway, easy access.
You just turn on Victor Pike and go in back there, but you'll see it from the highway usually because you've got your big green.
Wavy man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that 20 feet tall or something? A big giant green, one of those things that flops in the
Hydroponics
wind.
right down his chest.
Right.
You can't miss them.
Right, so it's easy to see. And what are your hours?
We're Monday to Saturday, 10 to 7.
10 to 7.
Till
Okay.
Sunday.
And your website?
GoldleafHydroponics.com.
Okay.
Always open.
And you do sell stuff online as well, so if they're not here locally. So I'm impressed. Are you one of the few hydroponic stores that's in southern Indiana?
Yeah. We really are the last kind of stop between Indianapolis and Louisville.
Okay.
There's a few other stores here and there
Yeah.
that have similar components, but by and large, the size and kind of scope of our operation, I've heard from people that have come from overseas in Holland, which is another horticultural capital
Sure,
of the world.
the tulips, yeah.
And our shop is even large, and the kind of variety of niche products that we carry. Even within our industry, we have what would be considered a large store at about 3,000 square feet. We have probably about 20 live displays ranging from these, hydroponic cotton. We have hydroponic pineapples, aquaponics where we raise tilapia and plants, simultaneously.
Yeah, we'll have to explain. We'll have to in the second segment. We'll explain what aquaponics is because it's fascinating too.
Okay.
Not something you want to get into.
It doesn't sound, it sounds so interesting. And, I'm a very visual person. So when he was just talking, I just kind of pictured fish. And I don't even know what I was picturing as you were
You're about right with that.
Okay.
But, and how did you get started?
Well, originally I worked at Worms Way, which was a local institution in the hydroponics industry. Actually, Worms Way started as a little retail shop selling grow lights and fertilizers and such. And they grew to be one of actually for a time, the largest distributor nationally for this equipment. And for the last about 20 years, they've been one of 3 main distributors in the industry. So that was kind of my classical training. So I kind of got the workings of...
You were going to college and working there at the same time?
Yeah, I went to IU,
Yeah.
Indiana University, of course,
Yep.
and went to work at Worms Way just after graduation.
Okay.
I was supposed to go back for a master's in speech pathology. But I'd always been a gardener and a grower, and I just fell in love with the industry. I didn't really realize how it's a completely different industry, hydroponics, than the traditional lawn and garden industry. And this whole organic movement, kind of in the last 20, 30 years since the 90s, has really brought a lot more light onto these counter-culture kind of cultivation methods like hydroponics. So people are realizing now that a bag of Miracle Grow might not be the best thing for plants, these salt-based products and a lot of chemicals, and there's a lot of things coming out linking them to cancer and such. And everything will give you cancer, but
right.
But we sell more things that are like worm castings, bat guano.
Yeah.
Of course, we have synthetic hydroponic fertilizers, but I wouldn't deter someone from coming in just because the word hydroponics. We very much have the traditional organic outdoor gardening stuff.
The worm stuff is amazing. Worm castings, that's worm poop. I assumed as such because I knew what the bat stuff was.
Yeah, and I've had some friends who have told me about they have these tubs and the worms are in there and they feed them and then it just creates this amazing fertilizer kind of. It's gross, but it's useful.
Well, we farm worms too.
Yeah.
So all my kitchen scraps, and I'm, hand in hand with this gardening and growing goes the diet.
Sure.
Lifestyle that you try to maintain, but all our kitchen scraps go to our worms, and then of course I feed our plants with the worm tea and the worm castings, and compost and all these other things.
So you were working at Worms Way, and then they closed down. Was it because of the highway, or there was probably, I don't want all the politics,
Sure.
but they closed down. You didn't shut them down, or you didn't.
It was totally, that part was totally
separate from
agreeable.
what you,
We're on great terms with
Yeah.
them still. They're our wholesaler actually still.
Okay.
But it was totally coincidental
So they're still in business on a wholesale level, but just not the storefront.
Big corporate buyout. They just shut the retail stores down.
Gotcha.
So that opened the doors for my wife, Monica, and I to open Goldleaf. And initially we kept the same team of us three from the retail and online sales together. So we carried over all our local customer base, about 40,000 online customers, which now we're honestly getting into so many new customer bases with just updated marketing things that we never did at Wormsway. I mean, we're just, you can imagine we did it and we just got rid of our bosses. So now we're doing things like how we want.
Fun. So you really were able to hit the ground running, which was great and I think important for small businesses. So that's awesome. So let's talk briefly about the aquaponics and then we'll go to break. So paint a picture for Karen what aquaponics is.
Aquaponics is raising fish and plants and kind of pumping that fish wastewater over the root system so that the bacteria break down all that waste into nutrients and thereby, cleanse the, or filters, we call it a biofilter, they filter the water back for the fish. So it's a closed system of fish waste turning into fertilizer and then plants cleaning, the water for the fish.
That's awesome.
And so you are growing fish for food as well as growing plants for food. There's a big farm in Brown County, I think, that does some aquaponics. I've heard of that. They have a big, So Eurus had plans for an aquaponics farm in my basement.
Oh, did he?
Which is why I don't go down the basement anymore because I don't know what's going on down there. But there were some big tubs and things that we're going to. I think once he retires, we'll be growing fish in the basement for who knows.
Big tubs sounds about right.
Yeah, because you got to have fish. It's just really interesting. I don't know if have you ever been to Disney World in Florida?
Yes.
Is it maybe in Epcot or somewhere? There is an exhibit that you ride in a little boat around. You know what I'm talking about? And it's like a hydroponics, and they have giant watermelons and whatever. But they're growing all these things, and it's sort of like the Wave of the Future, Tomorrowland sort of vibe, But it's not. It's here. It's today. And when we come back from break, we're going to talk a little bit in our Facebook Follow segment about a local group that is doing a lot in terms of hydroponics and selling it to local restaurants. So stick around and we'll be back and talk a little bit more about all the services and classes and things like that are offered at Goldleaf Hydroponics. Stick around. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Karen Rastel with Ruoff Home Mortgage. Did you know that you may qualify for a renovation loan to make updates and improvements on your current house or to purchase a fixer-upper you can turn into your dream home? Apply now for a free, no-strings-attached pre-approval to learn your options. Contact me today at 812-606-7653 to get started. Ruoff Home Mortgage is an Indiana corporation licensed by the Indiana Department of Financial Institutions. This is not an offer for extension of credit or a commitment to lend. All loans must satisfy company underwriting guidelines, equal housing lender, NMLS number 141868.
This is your Real Estate Realist. Practical advice on buying and selling real estate based on my experience closing over 800 home sales. Do you already own a home? Maybe you've been thinking about upsizing or downsizing, or moving out to the country, or moving into the city. If you have, you've probably been thinking a lot about it, but there's a good chance you don't know where to start. What are your options when you are both a buyer and a seller? Well, don't get overwhelmed. Let me help you get started. Number one, start with your realtor. Call me. I can help you understand all of your options, and we can pick the best plan A, plan B, and maybe even a plan C for your family. Having multiple options and plans keeps your stress level manageable. Number two, we'll want to bring your lender into the conversation really quickly, as your financial picture will dictate which options are available to you. What can you afford? Can you buy without selling first? Can you use the equity in your current home as down payment? These are all questions we'll need the lender's help answering as we prepare your game plan. And number three, and probably the most valuable advice, be prepared for a little discomfort, whether that's moving into temporary housing or having 2 mortgage payments for a little while. More than 80% of the time, the timing is not perfect, and there is a little risk and a little discomfort involved. But surround yourself with a team to guide you through. That helps a lot. For more information on being a buyer and a seller at the same time, listen to my Real Real Estate Today podcast number 63. You can find it on iTunes, my YouTube channel, and at www.athomeinbloomington.com.
My name is John Lee. Deb Tomorrow is my realtor. She has helped my wife and I sell 2 homes and purchase another. She's a smart, outside-the-box thinker and truly cares about her clients. Deb makes the complex world of buying and selling homes seem easy, which is a testament to her knowledge and skill. Long story short, Deb should be your realtor too. And now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back to At Home in Bloomington. Before we get back to our guest, Kyle, with Goldleaf Hydroponics, our Facebook follows segment, I'm always very proud of myself when I can make these very seamless and have a lot to do with our current guest. But I'd like to mention one of my favorite local projects, which is called Growing Opportunities. You can find them on Facebook, Growing Opportunities. It's kind of a department in the South Central Community Action program, and also it's a partnership between South Central Community Action and Stonebelt, and they've built a greenhouse, and they have groups of Stonebelt clients who are developmentally disabled to grow lettuce and herbs and all kinds of stuff hydroponically, and they actually sell them at Blooming Foods, and a lot of the local restaurants as well carry them, and they're becoming very well known in the area, and I think even nationally, for what they're doing with these work programs and really becoming self-sustaining. And Kyle, you're involved in that program a little bit too.
Yeah, we support them as their local source for product and expertise when it comes to troubleshooting things, pest management and environmental things.
Well, it's amazing. So check them out on Facebook, Growing Opportunities, and then drive down 10th Street and you go past Stonebelt and you will see there a big greenhouse in the parking lot. They're growing all kinds of, herbs and lettuces on a parking lot, basically. So that's something else to think about when we talk about food deserts and we talk about, some of these big cities where people don't have access to soil to be able to grow things, is this concept of you can grow on a parking lot, which is pretty amazing as well. So check them out. Okay, so we were talking over the break, and I wanted to highlight, Worms Way, because you were saying that you felt like they really were revolutionary in this field, and they started here in Bloomington. Yeah,
I was kind of commenting on relating the stigma that we still have surrounding hydroponics to what we had in 1985 when Worms Way started here in Bloomington, and there were no stores or catalogs or national distributors for hydroponics. And really, Martin Haight was the original founder of Worms Way, and he really pioneered and grew this industry to where nationally to where his retail store, which started in a little garage bait shop and moved up to what we had here at the big campus, that eventually became the first national wholesaler. And he kind of even gave birth to a few other wholesalers because he was buying in such volume and combining shipments, and before there's an infrastructure in the industry. So he kind of created these channels and really had a lot to do with the modern industry, which we are very tied to every day at Goldleaf. Having worked there, and we stay true to our roots. So it's amazing to think, we like to talk on every show about how amazing, Bloomington and the surrounding area is, and the amazing people that are doing amazing, how many times can I say amazing, but amazing things here. And this is one that really a large birth part of the hydroponics industry happened here in Bloomington, which is kind of cool to think about. So in addition to, having the store, you have a lot of classes as well. So talk to us a little bit about what those classes are and how they're free and what the topics are. Of course, we have monthly free classes, last Saturday of every month, different indoor, outdoor gardening topics, just how to maximize your yields, how to use grow lights. Hydroponics 101 is our most popular class. Sure. And, we'll give those classes to you one-on-one anytime you come into the store. Yeah. But the classes are fun. We'll get some local sugary food, usually local donuts or something, and you get 10% off after the class. So it's, if you're going to start something, it's a fun day to come. Yeah. And Yeah, we're working on our blog posts and YouTube presence. We have a really nice website, of course.
Yeah.
So.
And tell us that website again.
That's goldleafhydroponics.com.
Can't get any easier than that. And you can go to that website to find the class schedule and all of that, as well as following you guys on your social media. And you also have some involvement in the farmers market. Are you selling products or are you selling
strictly plants? The Bloomington farmers market does a great job at keeping things homegrown, homemade.
Yeah.
And again, my whole passion for this is organic. I love houseplants and bonsai and medicinal plants and rare plants, African, South American things. So a lot of plants that don't even have common names or that you might not even find at the local greenhouse. Really niche stuff. I import a lot of things from overseas and propagate it all myself. Our company has 4 people, my wife and I, and a full-time online manager and full-time retail manager. And most all the plant work I conduct myself and have a very, I just get people excited about plants. So at the farmers market, we kind of help spread all that passion. And we're also working with elementary schools and intermediate schools and, of course, nonprofits like Growing Opportunities to get the kids growing. So we've got Edgewood Intermediate School and Fairview Elementary School, where we've actually installed hydroponic systems either right in the cafeteria or right in the classroom.
That's awesome.
And it's probably the best part of my job. It's a very small portion of it, but it's the best part. When we get to go and harvest with the kids.
That just got me thinking on the classes that you do offer at the last Saturday of each month. Is that open to all ages or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of people. We get a lot of people even as young as high school that come in. It's awesome to see that.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of just regular folks and retired folks and all walks of life.
And what are the most common questions that people have when they come into your store?
I got to say grow lights is the hottest topic in indoor growing. And I always remind people, people come in with problems and plants and stuff, and sometimes I have to just remind them that, hey, you're growing a tropical rainforest plant in your basement. So it's good to remember what we're up against. And usually the theory of the limiting factor tends to be light. What's going to limit our growth indoors? It's probably light, temperature, humidity, like environmental things. Okay. And then from there, cultural things like the soil, the pot, your watering, consistency. But the grow lights really is the limiting factor. And I have a lot of people that look to just overwinter their plants and keep them alive. But I actually get growth. Like I put on, to my bonsai trunks, they might put on girth in the winter. So really it's...
And that's because of the lights for the most part?
Yeah, I have all sorts of tricks from temperature and humidity controllers where I have like humidifiers on dials where I can tell, like a typical humidifier would be, but it's all a master controller. So my whole garden is one, brain. These are things that we sell also, these kind of garden computer controllers. So I have grow tents where I have tropical things and I maintain like 70% humidity, really tropical. And then I've got, my basement grow where I just kind of keep it, 40-50% through the winter. And it's just the challenge here in Indiana. If you want to grow half of the cool stuff out there, you're limited to like 6 months of the year, truly outside. So that leaves you with half the year.
Right.
And I started when I was 15. I've always been a musician. I got paid from this one gig and I went and bought a bunch of bonsai trees. That's how I started growing. Don't know why. My parents raised me to love nature, I guess. Right. And it's just grown from there with a single strip light when I was living at my parents' house in Indianapolis to now down here I have a whole basement with, probably 12 or 15 grow lights. And essentially, you can have like a tabletop with plants on it or just kind of hang lights in a grid. And now you have this indoor sunny area and so many ways to do it. I've installed grow lights for a retired couple in their garage bay, and they literally had palm trees and just a bunch of tropical plants, banana plants, and beach chairs in their garage.
That sounds divine.
Yeah, all through the winter.
Doesn't that sound nice?
I mean, sounds create like your own outside
just to
vacation.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So here's a stupid question because I know nothing about grow lights. Are they? I assume there's special kind of light bulbs, a special kind of lights. The whole thing is like it's not just a light.
Yeah, I mean, any light will probably keep a plant alive. and without getting too nerdy, which I love to get nerdy, so stop in the store and I'll break it all down. But, there's like nanometer wavelengths and there's about 15 different things they use, like PAR and CRI.
Ways
and
to measure
lumens,
and
per
rate
watt and all.
yeah.
Many, many different ways to look at it. And truth be told, a lot of them are just for the human eye. Nobody really knows. Depending on the type of light, they'll even give you a different way to like quantify how good different lights are, but none of them are compatible between types of lighting. So that's really what we're there for. Is I've been growing for like 15 years now and can just tell you how the plants respond, because at the end of the day the plants don't lie. And I can tell you, fluorescence, T5 fluorescence, really good for seed starting, propagation. Metal halide lamp, good for vegetative growth. High pressure sodium lamp for fruiting and flowering. We have lots of LEDs now. Ceramic metal halide, induction lighting, plasma lighting. I mean, it goes on. And truth be told, I probably got about all of those represented at home. Because I do find some of them are outdated technologies, and it's always changing. But different plants need different things. And Karen kind of asked, oh, well, it's so much to get into. That's just something that comes with the experience. I've grown a ton of plants. I always say I've learned more from the plants I've killed.
Sure.
But by a similar fashion, I've grown a lot of plants just to learn, and then I've kind of moved on. So that's the where, as a local business, all four of us at the shop can help with that. And I always ask, just come in with your goals, your space or footprint, and your budget, and I can make that happen.
So we could just walk in and say, we have some hibiscus there. We bring them into the living room, and there's 3 windows, and what else do we need to keep them alive and help them thrive over the winter? See, there you go. That's all you got to do.
Asking for a friend, right?
Right? Yeah, exactly. So again, I want to just impress on people too that you can spend kind of as little or as much as you want in not just the plants and the hydroponics and all of that. So this is very, I think, low barrier.
Very accessible.
Why is hydroponics more sustainable than traditional growing methods?
Yes,
or environmentally friendly.
The water conservation is the first thing people usually mention, depending on the style of hydroponics, because there are many different ways to do hydroponics. You can conserve up to 60% more than traditional field irrigation, because you're not kind of sprinkling, losing to wind, losing to
because it's very concentrated, because the water is just the water. It's just there. It's not getting soaked into the soil and going elsewhere, right?
No runoff. And frequently we have contained reservoirs or even like a top drip system. There's a style of hydroponics called drain to waste, where essentially you kind of just calculate how much water you need and you only drip that amount. So you're never using excess, no runoff at all. Quite literally, you're using the exact amount of water it takes to grow a plant. So
that's what I would need.
Yep.
Yeah. When Deb goes on vacation,
things?
Well, I think I may overwater your plants, but she'll say it should be fine. Just come out. They're right there. And I'm always like a nervous wreck. I'm like, oh, I'm going to kill these because I gave them too much water or whatever.
But they drain off, and then we've wasted a ton of water. I mean, that's what we do, is we just kind of soak them and then they drain off. But so is there application for hydroponics in, some of these countries that, have experienced some droughts and have experienced famines and things like that? Are they doing things like that?
Yes. There are many institutions that are working with, various places around the world to get them growing. Water, obviously, being probably the toughest resource to obtain. The other advantage to hydroponics is that you can go year-round, which I should have mentioned. The water conservation and being able to usually go year-round, because you can do hydro outdoors, but it's usually in a greenhouse or what have you. But yeah, there's different organizations like Hydro for Hunger and just a ton of companies that work kind of more grassroots operations. And Peru, I used to live in Peru, so I follow a lot of what's going on in Peru.
The country.
Not Indiana.
Not Indiana, the country.
And I'm actually pretty well connected with, I mentioned Holland earlier. I have, when you get into these deep depths of plant trading, you get to know people all over the world. So I have cultivator friends in Peru and Holland, Africa, Austria, France, and it's a very small world and small industry. But we just really want to get everybody. Microgreens is another thing. If you haven't heard of microgreens, check those out, because everybody in the world and everybody in their home should be eating and growing microgreens, which are essentially you just take a tray and oversow it with a bunch of seeds like basil, lettuce, peas,
probably arugula and stuff like
people
that.
Use essentially anything, and you let it grow to about 10 to 14 days before it ever converts all the energy in the seed into carbohydrates or growth sugars, and you're benefiting from all that concentrated nutrition that can have like 4 to 40 times the amount of nutrition as the adult counterpart. So in like a little 10 by 20 inch, flat with one little 20 watt grow light, 24 watt light, you could easily be eating a cup a day and getting, basically all your nutrients and vegetables, and then put it in a smoothie. I drink smoothies every day with herbs I harvest right from my basement. It's just incorporating that into your life and getting away from the processed things. It just leads to so many kind of eye openers about what you're eating. And not only that, but plastic usage, like single use plastics is a big thing. So, at its best, it's a fun hobby and you get to watch something grow. But really, when you adopt it as a whole lifestyle, this is something that I think every home should have. And if there are barriers, I think we actually have an Indiana University Growers Club that we've just started, where we're trying to get students to help us outreach to different, local nonprofits, schools, and things. And we want to help people apply for grants, because there's no reason that we've actually donated a bunch of grow lights like to local food banks and stuff. Mother Hubbard's covered. There's no reason that we shouldn't have grants to get a single little $20, or even cheaper, wholesale cost, whatever, free grow light out there to every family, just to have a flat of microgreens. Like, start there. That's my
Interesting.
goal.
A microgreen for every house.
Yeah.
Someone came by the office a while back and delivered some. And so our office manager brought them up, and I remember going, "What is a microgreen?" And she set it up here, but I don't know what company. I don't recall what company that was.
Oh, interesting. That's just fascinating, and I love this idea of. I remember I saw something in the paper just recently about a local restaurant who's changing concepts, and they said they're going to focus on local and current and seasonal and that kind of thing. She goes, and so in the article it said, so we won't be serving anything with tomatoes during the winter. And then I thought, well, but you can, right? I mean, you can. That's the thing. You said year round. I mean, this is year round fresh lettuce, year round, fresh herbs and all kinds of things. So you're not limited. And I wondered, this is going to be my last question because it's really silly. We always joke at my house because we have some of these grow lights, and I'm like, God, I'm in a bad mood. I'm going to go sit under the grow light, and maybe it'll generate some vitamin D, because we always talk about in Indiana having that seasonal affective disorder where you're short on vitamin D, which is created by being out in the sun. So are you guys all in like a fabulous mood because you're surrounded by grow lights constantly?
It may be
is it a happy place?
it perhaps a causation. I know it is for me psychologically. I don't know about the vitamin D. I probably wouldn't recommend working right under a lot of our lights. A lot of them have UV, and I actually have shades that I wear in my grow room that correct the color and all this stuff. But it is definitely a mood booster, and I actually run my grow lights from like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., so through the night. So when I come home from work, I get to enjoy it all night. Right. And it also helps counteract the, cold winter nights. And it helps prevent excessive heat during hot summer days by running lights at night. Oh, okay. So, I definitely use it as a mood booster.
Interesting. Well, I want to encourage everyone to go check out Goldleaf Hydroponics. It's down on 37, just south Victor Pike. So it's really easy to find on the highway. Look for the giant green waving guy. And check out goldleafhydroponics.com and also on all the social media sites because there's good stuff. And you don't have to know anything. And I witnessed, because I walked in there. Just walk in there and be like, this is what I want to do and this is what my budget is. And they will put it together for you, whether it's buying some interesting plant to start with one, or whether it's doing a whole, hydroponics system kind of thing. So check it out. I think it's a really awesome resource that we have here in Bloomington. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Deb and Karen.
All right. And we'll be back with another episode of At Home in Bloomington. Got a show idea? I'd love to hear it. And be sure to contact me for all your real estate needs and questions too. You can email me at deb@realrealestatetoday.com and follow me on Facebook at Deb Tomorrow Realtor. To contact Karen Rastel for all your mortgage needs, call 812-606-7653 or log on to ruoff.com and go to the Bloomington Center. Thanks to all the Bloomington people who make production of At Home in Bloomington possible. Special thanks to superstar producer Rachel DiGregorio, digital guru Cynthia Hogan at Monster Digital Marketing for website design and hosting, and video genius Wes Lasher in the production house for engineering the show.